Good morning, everyone. I'm Teddy Pins, and it is St. Patrick's Day, apparently, March 17th, 2022. Welcome. Today, we've got an exciting class on Instagram strategies and tips and tricks from Crystal and Kathleen, and anyone that wants to share. But I'm really excited to share this with everyone, or to have them share a little bit more about what they've done to leverage social media, and specifically Instagram, or any others they want to share about regarding how they're developing their business and farming their business utilizing this tool. And so welcome, Crystal and Kathleen. And I want to, we're going to interact here a little bit. I want to tell me a little bit about, I'm going to share this graphic that you created, Crystal, that I just think is fantastic. And if you want, we can start there, but why don't each of you tell us a little bit about your social media, how you've used social media, or how is it a part of your business? Crystal, why don't you go first?
So I see my social media as more of like a personality resume. And I use it as a way to stay in touch with people who I've met at least once. So I actually end up working with a lot of people from my social media because we, met briefly at a party and connected on social media and have just stayed in touch that way. And we stay in touch through things that both of us like. So it goes back to what Bobby Noreen teaches about finding your ideal client. You're just saying, hey, this is what I love. Who else loves this? And you attract to those people who you're going to do a really good job for. So
love it.
Mm-hmm.
Kathleen, how about you?
That's awesome. I totally agree with Crystal. I love her Instagram presence. It's so personal. And I made the decision right at the start, a year ago when I became a realtor, to actually split my personal page and my realtor page, which everything you read online tells you not to do. So I think that Crystal has the right idea, but I found that it was easier for me to kind of post more bravely on a page dedicated to my real estate business and really focus in on the audience I wanted to build rather than the people who'd been following me since high school. But yeah, I find that it's a really high impact, low stake way of connecting with people, keeping up with people, engaging with people. You're not blowing up their phone. You're not sending emails. And it's a way to stay top of mind in a very organic way. So I agree, Crystal. It's one of the first things I try and do when I meet someone new. Like I said, it's so low stakes. Can I follow you on Instagram? And it can be the start of a conversation, the start of learning about them, learning about what they're interested in, and can go from there. So I found it's a really great way, especially at the beginning of your business. My first client was from social media. And so it helped kind of jumpstart the scary process of starting to build a sphere.
Gotcha. Awesome. Well, there's so much I know we have to cover, and I'm excited to cover here today. And for those that are on here, if you have any questions, feel free to jump in. I'm gonna go ahead and share screen of this graphic that Crystal created here. All right, I know y'all can see that. Crystal, walk us through this here.
So this is all about engagement.
Yep.
And the Instagram algorithm loves engagement, but so do people. So that's sort of what this is talking about. So these are just ways that you can engage with different parts of Instagram. So for instance, we've got Instagram posts down in the bottom left corner. You'll want to aim for quality over quantity with these because these are lasting. So this is what people are going to see when they come to your page. So to encourage engagement, you'll want to do things like create relatable content, which we'll get into a little more as I made another chart for that. Something else you can do is like ask a question in your post. I think the last one I did was, and it got an okay response. It was talking about Thai Phuket, and I just asked people which Thai Phuket is your favorite, because now there are 3. And I actually got a few people to engage that way. When you get a comment, you're going to want to reply to every single comment, because that will push you up in the algorithm. And if you want a wider reach, you can do things like tag people in the post. You can tag other people in the post, add location.
Is it my internet that's locking up, or is anybody else experiencing?
I'm good on my end.
Betty,
Yes.
I think it's yours. You're frozen.
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Is it my internet, or was anybody else having anybody stalls? And
It's yours, Ted, I think.
okay, good. I mean, good in the sense that I'm glad it's not that. Apologize.
So another thing that I use often are Instagram stories. And I love these because they disappear after 24 hours. So on these, you'll want to do, you'll want to choose consistency over quality if you need to choose. So I have probably about 10 accounts that I follow that have content that I could share, which makes it a lot easier on myself. And that way you're not constantly having to come up with content. So Kathleen, what do you think about posts and stories?
I totally agree. I love Instagram stories. People are more apt to engage with them because if someone responds to your Instagram story, it goes straight to you. Other people don't see it. So it's less effort. Everything's trying to make it as easy as possible to engage, right? We just want to engage. And sometimes an Instagram comment can take too long, even though it takes 10 seconds. Whereas a story is a really quick way to share content and engage one-on-one with people. It's also a really good means of engaging with other people, like spending 5 minutes twice a day going through Instagram stories, commenting, DMing people. Oh, that looks so fun. Your dog is so cute. And it just, it's a very quick and effective way of connecting with people. Whereas posts do have a little bit more pressure because they last longer. You want there's just more pressure all around. So I totally agree. Quality over quantity with posts, and honestly, quantity over quality for stories because they disappear in 24 hours. So not a lot of pressure.
True. Yeah.
What else?
Did you cover Reels?
So I'm sort of new to Reels, just full disclosure. So I'm still figuring them out.
Yeah.
Something that I have been doing with my Reels, however, is sharing them to my stories, which gives me wider reach. You can also choose like a song that's trending, which will get you more viewers. I don't know if that's going to get me more clients, to be honest. I really think that engagement here is the key. But there are some people who like Reels more than they like stories. So that's actually why I started doing Reels, because there's this whole part of my sphere that really just sticks to Reels. So it's on the list now.
Yeah. Awesome. Do you want to go to the next slide, or do you want me to go show anything to your Instagram? You just kind of direct me where you want to go.
Let's do the next slide. Do you think, Kathleen?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a little rule for my social media, and it's something that I loosely follow. I try to do, for every 10 posts, I try to do 1 hard sell 4 soft sells, and 5 no sells. And in your no sells, you really want to show your personality. A hard sell would be one of those posts like a deal breakdown or something great that you did, an award that you got. And I really try to use those sparingly because I don't know, I think people get tired about hearing how great you think you are. A soft sell is pretty awesome because it can be closely related to your business. And it's more like instead of telling someone that you're wonderful, you're just showing them what you do. So that can be anything from things you love about the area that you work, just showing that you're an expert in the area, be it restaurants or developments. Those can be house tours. You can share other listings. Yeah, that's actually a great way to sell yourself without saying you're wonderful. And then in your no sells, you really just want to show who you are. So I love these because literally you're just like, what do I like? And then you just put it out there with a picture. So that's how I try to format it.
Yeah, and I would say a lot of what I experience of you online is, I think you do this masterfully because so much is just about what do you love and where are you, and it just kind of gives people, I think, even if they don't really know you. You and I have never really hung out, but I feel like I've got a very good sense of like what you value and appreciate and like who you are. And it's yeah, I think you've done that really, really well. Kathleen, how what's your thoughts about content mixture of sell stuff?
I love this. And I agree with you, Teddy. I think Crystal's a master at somewhere between this no sell and the soft sell, just showing what she values and what she loves. I think I could do more of that on my realtor account. But yeah, I think this is perfect. I think that I follow agents, of course, no village agents, that are all about the hard sell. They just think that in a social media platform is not a personality resume, just a resume, just done this, done this, done this, done this. And that gets old after time. And I think it's way more impactful you want to be selling yourself. We're a business, but there's really more nuanced ways of doing that than posting all the stats about every deal you've ever done. So I also would just say in regards to content, and this has served me well, I think, not to be afraid to share with permission from the agent featured listings. If you see a home that you love that you're not the listing agent on, you're not the buyer's agent on, but you're like, this is gorgeous, this is in my neighborhood, I always send the agent a text or I give them a call and say, your listing's beautiful, would you mind if I shared it? You give proper credit. But then that goes on your feed. And even though you personally have nothing to do with it, you're showing that you're up to date on what's on the market. You get engagement of, oh my gosh, this house is beautiful. Like my most recent post was a featured listing. And I had nothing to do with that listing. I just saw it and I loved it. And people commented saying how much they also loved it. So that's a way of showing what your style is, what you enjoy, even if you're only selling $200,000 homes in Murfreesboro, it's like, it doesn't matter. So
yeah, nobody knows. I know about this listing in Ashland City, and this is, I think, is it listed by Alan?
Mm-hmm.
Is it Alan DeCooper who's listed this?
I think so, yeah, with Parks.
Yeah, it says, yeah.
Yeah. And so you posted this, and obviously you got 90 other people liked this post just from yours. So that's 90 people that interacted with this post. Yeah.
And I guess yeah, I was gonna say I had a lot of people when I see someone in person who I follow who maybe isn't in my close friend circle but engages with my posts, people really like seeing beautiful listings, seeing beautiful design. It's all over my feed because that's the business I'm in, but with other people who don't have that on their feed, to see a beautiful little reading nook or a listing that, you know, they love, like, sometimes I feel like I'm talking into the void, but I've gotten multiple people saying that they really enjoy that sort of content. So,
Yep.
and for myself, it really helps me to have categories of content like Crystal, but even more detailed. Like, I have featured listings, I have design posts, I have personal posts, and I have more of the hard sell posts about closing on a property or going under contract on a property. So that when I get to a Wednesday and I'm like, I don't know what to post, I can kind of go back in my head and say, okay, have I done a featured listing recently? Has my face shown up on the feed in the last, 6 photos or whatever? Because it's hard to generate content. You get tired of it. So having some like boundaries and lanes that you return back to is a good way to keep it consistent.
Right. Having a schedule, I think, becomes really, really important, for sure. Awesome. While we're on your page here, as far as, because I know, and Crystal will go to yours as well here, but speak to this, the link tree. Are you liking this? I mean, would you recommend people do this?
Yeah, I don't think it gets a lot of engagement, but it's good to have. Linktree is a way to have all your different websites, profiles, social media links all in one spot. And I think just having it accessible and really easy for people. If they stumble across your page and they're like, who is she? It takes 2 clicks to get, over to any of my content. And it's always about taking the path of least resistance with social media, because people get tired real quick. If something's hard, they'll just not do it.
Yep.
So it's a good way of keeping that accessible. So
yeah, I agree. I see a lot of people using that well, and that's been great. Crystal, you generate a ton of content. It certainly seems like it to me. Maybe just because I've interacted or clicked on a lot of your stuff, I see it quite a bit. But certainly this shows some of the. Is there any posts in particular you'd love me to share or showcase? I mean, I always see you doing, your posts and your stories, and of course you've got all your neighborhoods here.
Mm-hmm.
Walk us through a little bit about what you're doing on your page here, how you're using it.
So I actually started the neighborhood guides after I had some out-of-town clients who were like, where should we go? So I made them lists of everything and realized, oh, I should just incorporate this into my social media. So whenever I'm out, I do always try to just take a quick video. You don't have to spend a lot of time on it. Like this video took me 3 seconds to make, and then I just posted it, and now it's in my Germantown file. And I had a video for that day, and I was with Julie, and she shared that. So that actually did give me some visibility in her sphere as well. So yeah, that's why I do the neighborhoods. Also, I just love to eat, so it gives me an incentive to go out and eat more.
I think you've leveraged, you do share a lot of food, and it shows like that you appreciate coffee shops and cool food, and it kind of helps break it up. Like you say, if people were coming here, that they could go, oh, well, here's some of her favorite places, in these areas. And so check those out. And you don't feel like you have to repeat that every time. People can just go to your, go to your post. So.
Yeah. And I like, okay, I might share a little too much food, because to be honest, coming up with content is hard sometimes. And that's a real easy one. That is like low hanging fruit. But I will say that most of my clients are very passionate about their kitchen. And that's something that I'm actually really well equipped to help them with. So, maybe posting food wasn't such a bad idea after all.
Well, I think it's something we all have to, whether you rent or own, or food is a relatable, thread for everyone. So,
Right.
I think what's cool to see, or what in both of your pages here, is a reflection of who you are. And I think often that people like sort of are trying to, or overthink it, trying to be something that they think they're supposed to be. And it's like, it really should just be sort of reflective of who and what you're doing, or at least what you want them to think or see that you're doing. And right. And that's interacting in the community and in your life. So, I mean, of course, featuring pets and food and, of course, listings, I know this was a renovation that you all obviously this got a lot of interaction, people wanting to just see what you're doing and what you're up to. Where did you get this? Where did you get that? Right? Still there?
Yes, you broke up for a second, Ted.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I don't know why my internet occasionally is saying your internet is unstable. It's like, I don't need more judgment, computer.
No, I totally agree with you, Teddy. I think that there's so many beautifully curated social media accounts where entire businesses are run on their page, having all the same filters and the same hashtags. And if you put that pressure on yourself, especially at any point, as a new agent, as an experienced agent, it's just paralysis. You just think, I'm never going to be able to do that consistently, or you do it for a week and then you forget about it. So I think finding a way to keep yourself posting, keep yourself engaging, whether it's about food or whether I have 4 things I post about and I just post about them really well, like you don't have to be the account that everyone in the world wants to follow. Just finding the type of client you want and then posting for that client, posting for yourself is, the most important part, and it makes it less high stakes.
Yep. Well, let's click over. Let's talk about content a little bit. And so we kind of building on what you were sharing there regarding your hard sell, soft sells, and no sells. Walk us through this, Crystal. You're muted there.
I was unmuted and then I muted myself.
All good.
So I broke my content down into categories last week, so that I could explain the hard sell, soft sell, no sell. So this is basically me in a chart. This is on the left is who I am as a realtor. Then after that are experiences I've had outside of being a realtor, my experience as a Nashvilleian, and then my experience as a person. So my hard sells will come from the first column, which is my experience as a realtor. Your soft sells are going to come from columns 1, 2, and 3, whether that's showing them like, hey, I'm at a showing and I like these countertops, or I grew up in Franklin when it was farmland, or I love being a Nashvilleian and really know the area where I work. That's sort of what I try to show with my soft sells. And then in categories or in columns 3 through 4 are where you can draw your no sells from. And this is where you really show who you are. So I love Brandon Morgan. I also love my cats. I really love food, as we've already discussed. I will eat with you anytime, anywhere. And I'm really passionate about small businesses. So that's mostly what I focus on.
I gotta acknowledge you. I mean, this is, had you seen other people do this regarding their social? Or did you just come up with this?
Yeah, I woke up in the middle of the night last week. And
After you had committed to do this and you were like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna?
no, I didn't wake up because of the class. I actually woke up because another transaction was stressing me out. But I've done the soft sell, no sell, hard sell was not my idea, and I don't know where that came from. Adam, or maybe Adam Brooks told me about it. He read it somewhere. But yeah, I tried to break down my content into categories. So this is what I came up with.
I just think this is really powerful stuff to do. If you've done any work around like stuff that Bobby does around finding your why, and I think helps people, really generate around some of their motivations and who they are. And then just, I love this diagramming because I think it helps us remind us about some of the spaces that I think we forget of ourselves that people value and appreciate. And if you're unclear about what these things are, you could easily have a conversation with your close friends or family and say, just use these categories, right? Or, I relocated from California, I bought my mom a pet cow, like whatever some of these things are that are sort of themes or places of your life to get them into a diagram like this so that you can strategy. This is really the word that I come back to, is like have a strategy and a plan. And it's clear because when I invited you to participate in this class, if you will, you said, I'll put together an outline. And I'm like, clearly that's how your mind likes to work. And it shows here. But for those that maybe aren't, you've given a great framework here, and we'll share this if you're open to it on the Google Drive for people under our classes, and to reference this. And I probably am going to have, if you're not opposed to it, to have Zach feature this in an upcoming sales meeting, because I just think you've done it so beautifully. And maybe we'll do a little spotlight of this, and you can speak to it at a sales meeting, because I just think that you've done a really good job here of kind of breaking some of this down. And I can think of even just the few people that we have on here that I know, Lon, I've known you a while, like, everyone has a story, right? A beautiful story. And it's like, it's part of what people are gravitating towards interacting and connecting with you. And so it's like, if we're not telling that online, we're sort of denying that opportunity for people to continue to connect with what we're doing. So you've even given people a blank in here to fill out their own, of course. So yes.
Will you include these slides in an email or something, Ted, or will they be on the drive?
I absolutely will. Yes, I can do a couple of things. I will put it in the chat as an Insta favor for those that are here online today, and you won't even have to go find them. So how about that?
Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you.
This is fantastic, Crystal. This is really amazing.
It is. It is. And it's just, when I look at your page, and I think it's a good reminder though, in that we have to remind ourselves, like, it's okay to just start somewhere. You don't have to be, everybody sort of touts on Wendy Monday's page, and it is a beautiful page, right? Like, oh my gosh, how does she get all this just straight down the middle? And this is just, now this is her real estate page, so that Wendy has a personal page as well. But I share this or show this because I think it's a good page, if you're not following, to check out Wendy's stuff. She does curate some beautiful content. It's very different stylistically than Kathleen's or Crystal, obviously, and it should be. But you can glean ideas from what other people are doing. And I hate to say there's nothing really new, but there really isn't. And there are so many pages that you could be sharing the same content as Crystal, and I mean, it's going to be a slight handful of people that might repeat it or see it. It's like people that don't want to share the market stats. It's like, oh, well, they probably see those other places. And the truth is, a predominance don't. So like they still don't think that like, oh, well, they've seen that somewhere else, or really, should I post my awards of excellence? Like, you didn't do this till 4 days ago, so we're into March. And when Crystal posts this, and you can kind of read about how she framed that, about sort of that tooting your own horn, as she speaks to, and doing it in a way that is gracious, loving, and honoring of clients. And I think we have to get clear about what are some of the things that we're hung up with social media. And I guess I'd offer that, like, is there, Lon or Catherine or Jennifer or anyone, is there things that you are still intimidated about, that you've had to overcome, or how did you overcome that? Does anyone want to share on that?
Yeah, I'm still trying to overcome the idea of the hard sell, soft sell, selling myself in general, whether it be on social media or in person. So this is really helpful to be able to separate these things. And my Instagram account, I will be starting a new business account. I have one account that is dedicated to Shack of the Day. Some of you may have seen it. Some of you may not, but I want to keep that one as it is, because it's a soft sell, definitely. That just says that I'm interested in housing, or in structures of all sorts. I guess they're not all houses. And I've integrated that into Facebook, which is a little bit more generic. And I have a Facebook business page as well. But I think it's like getting over the fear of being obnoxious. And neither Crystal's or Kathleen's pages are obnoxious. They're spectacular. I've been looking at them as we've been talking on my phone, and they're just like, wow, I want to do that.
Yeah, and I've done these. I appreciate you sharing that, Lon. And I've I've done a social media class, or just sort of like talking, with Wendy and with Home on a Nashville Hill with Kelly Ladwig. These people have quote unquote mega accounts, right? So Kelly Ladwig's page, she's got 160,000 followers now, and she just posts all these beautiful homes, and I love, they do great content. They're people that I would encourage you to follow and share as well, but they're different, right? They're different than where and how you two have shared and are doing your journey. And so I'm really grateful that for you both, kind of willing to share more about what you've done on your page and how you've done it. And I'd love to kind of feature a couple things, if there's any in particular that you'd like me to show so others can get, although you all can go to their pages and just click on stuff and see, like, okay, well, what is this post of did she post of herself? And it's like, okay, just, this is a thank you. There's really beautiful ways in which I think you all have graciously and humbly pursued content and posted things out there. So I want to acknowledge you for that. And let's speak to hashtags a little bit. Can you all talk about your use of hashtags, using them in the post versus in the comment, and how do you decide which ones? Do you keep these in a note and copy and paste them every time, so you're not, tell me about this. Kathleen, maybe you start because you're queued up here.
Sure. Yeah, hashtags, it's something that I engaged with a lot in my previous life. working in marketing. And I just, I don't know how much it's generating new followers, but it's one of those things where it certainly can't help. It keeps you relevant. And that's really a preference with the comment thing. I sometimes when I'm reading someone's caption and then it's flooded with hashtags right underneath their caption, it feels clunky and a little heavy. And so instead I'll post my caption and then comment right underneath. And that's exactly what I do. I copy and paste from my notes. I add a couple that might be relevant to a certain post, just so it's hidden in a little comment underneath. No one has to see it, but it keeps the hashtags on your post. So yeah, I'm sure there's much more strategy I could do with hashtags, but I find it's just a pretty quick thing to try and keep your posts searchable.
Yeah. Crystal, your thoughts are.
So first, I think hashtags are a great idea. Second, I actually don't use them. So, the reason I don't use them, however, is because I really only use this as a tool to generate new clients with people I've already met. And so they don't need my hashtags. If I did want wider reach and I wanted to try to get clients from outside of my sphere, it would probably be a really good idea to use hashtags. When you've got a smaller account like mine, if you are going to do hashtags, you probably want to choose tags that don't have a ton of things published to it. So for an account my size, you probably want to use hashtags that have about 8,000 or less.
Interesting.
So you don't get lost. But I don't use them. So that is everything I have to say about those.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know, I think Kelly does a ton of hashtags typically. You'll see here, yeah, she's doing a similar thing where she's posting it down here. And the hashtags for those on here, I mean, are just ways in which somebody, if they want to click on this, or if somebody went to this hashtag tag and wanted to learn more about pizza ovens, that that house would be, that would be featured in there. Obviously, there's 346,000 posts where somebody hashtagged this exact statement of pizza oven. And oh, wow. So somebody clicking through here, you can see, what does this house have to do with obviously a pizza oven? And clearly, I mean, 109 people have interacted with that post, of around pizza oven. And so, this is part of what Kelly does 3 hours every day, working on her Instagram account, commenting, replying to people. Like you'll see, she replies to every person that comments, right? Like, so it's like, and that just creates more interaction, right? I mean, that's what Kelly's doing, for those that are unclear, and she's really, really strategic about it. But again, it just sort of started that way. I mean, taking some of those concepts is posting something or someone, and then, if you're featuring a house, is just including what suppliers, vendors, or people could be a part of that. So, I mean, that's just an interesting one where you can see, like, even just pizza oven, that she is using that, or pantry inspo. You can kind of play around with hashtags. So
yeah, and people can also follow hashtags. So like I follow Greyhounds of Instagram just because I love pictures of greyhounds. And so followers or accounts that I don't follow, if they hashtag that, can show up on my feed anyway. So it's a good way. Again, I'm sure that Kelly could speak much more eloquently on it, but it's a good way if people are renovating a portion of their home, kitchen inspo, hashtag kitchen inspo, and they could stumble across her page, organically. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was hashtags were a really big part of her business and her strategy, because I mean, every single picture looks like it came straight off of Pinterest. So it's a gorgeous page.
Yep. But like you say, I mean, it's not like she's out touring these homes. That home's from Idaho, right? And so it's like you're just finding beautiful home photos, and it's filled with that. That's kind of what she's made a part of that, her strategy. And then she integrates some things about their personal build, and this has been a big part of their business. So yeah. Any other tips or strategies or things, I guess, Crystal or Kathleen, anything you were struggling with that you had to kind of overcome or get over in, I don't want to say getting started, but just, is there anything that you had to be intentional about to overcome in use of social media?
Yeah, I think at first, I was really afraid of reaching out to people on social media. I didn't want to sound like I was running an MLM trying to sell protein powder. Like, hey girl, haven't heard from you in a long time. How's it going? I did not want to be that girl, but I also wanted to re-engage with people from different chapters of my life and just let them know what I'm doing and kind of reconnect with them. And like I mentioned, my first client was from social media. It was someone who had liked my realtor page on Facebook. And so I just messaged her and said, thank you so much for liking this page. That was so kind of you. How's it been? And it turned out to be my first client. So just, I think, setting pride aside and realizing you're not going to pressure anyone into buying a house. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is they're like, they just don't respond to you, you know? So I think as long as you're being kind and polite and just, you know, reaching out to people, I think especially right now, we're not out of COVID, but hopefully on the tail end of COVID, people are hungry for connecting with people. And if our jobs are one way that we can do it, gives us a good excuse to connect with people, then I think it's a gift, you know? So just getting over the like, oh, I hate myself for doing this. I don't want to be that girl, and just realizing like, it's all good. The worst thing that can happen is they don't respond. So
yeah, people that judge those that are trying to work their hustle, it's, you know, it's a short-sighted group of people that you don't want to really be around anyhow, right? Like, people appreciate or champion because you're doing it authentically, right? Like, this is I know everyone on here is mindful of that and isn't in that hard sell approach. So we're so far from that risk or being prevalent or prominent that you have to work more towards being intentional about putting it out there, right? Because it's just like, I don't want to. Or getting out of a routine of it where it's just like, I don't want to be posting everything that I'm eating, you know, people don't care about that. And it's like, the people that do, and the ones that don't can just keep scrolling. I mean, it's not like it's some in your face type of thing. You're not texting this to them. I think it's social media, right? Like, it's just this like fantasy of scrolling of things that visually appeal to people, and people really do care or interact in what their realtor is doing, because they're typically more out about and interacting than their other friends, you know, that work in accounts receivable, a cat or something, right? How about for you, Crystal? Is there anything that you had to overcome or get out of your own way about?
Yeah. So the hard sell was really, really hard for me. It's still not my favorite, to be honest. But I did find that if I wrote it in a way that felt collaborative, I felt like that was much more true to who I am. And it also doesn't feel braggy. Like, I don't like that. So, you know, instead of saying, I won my client this house, you could say, hey, my client won this house. They made a strategic offer with my help. And you can sort of put all the victory on your clients, and your clients like that. They want to hear that they won. So
Yes, they do.
yeah.
They do. And I think they enjoy being a part of those posts and that interactivity, and they share that stuff, right? Because then it's like, oh, it's not them bragging. It's like, oh, my realtor posted this. Like, but I think it's really, I mean, your post here certainly shows like how selective you are with the use of home stuff. You know, you just and I just think that I think these are good pages. Both of your pages are really good for people to see and look at, to understand a little bit more about the intentionality. I think just you've done a nice job with, I like some of the check boxes here for those type of personalities that want to see that stuff. And then, some of the beauties of things that you appreciate. So, use of that.
I think
My
Did
internet
we-
connection's unstable again.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think just your use of language as well is really is key as well. Like how you compliment people, how these smarties did it, right? Couldn't be the mid-century dreamboat. Like it just is a reflection of who you are and how you speak and the fun of your personality. I mean, even your headshot, I think, is just one of the best in the business because it's so unexpected or so unique, and it's just so fun. I mean, it's just a great headshot, and I think it sort of reminds people a little bit like, don't take this too seriously. And I know like how you're tagging the lending team and your closing, your inspectors. I mean, it's just more space for you to get acknowledgement and interactivity, right? Exposure. So.
Well, and I have been told by all of my vendors that I use and tag, that I've been told that I'm one of the only realtors that does that for them. And so they always remember me, and then they share my post. So
Yeah. And then you want to know what they do is they probably, if you need a favor or you call, they answer. And I have no doubt or question that like you're going to get preferential treatment because of that, as they feel like more of a partner in your business.
yeah, no, it's true. They always answer. I even have a few contractors who answer.
I'll bet.
Which I think is amazing.
Well, the only thing that I don't see in your diagram that I'm just reminded about is your love of plants. You love plants. It's not in the,
I do love plants, but I'm also a plant killer. I didn't feel like I could put it in there.
is that why you have to keep buying so many?
Yeah, I'm a bad plant mom.
No, that's, and I think a lot of people are, and that's a relatable thing.
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong with being a bad plant mom. Like that's
true.
Any other questions from anyone or things we want to share before we wrap up today?
Would you repost the things in the chat? I didn't have chat open, and I forgot about that. That if your chat is not open, you don't get the things that were chatted about before.
No, it's fine. I hadn't shared it yet. Come on.
Oh, okay.
Let's see here. Why isn't it letting me drag that in there? 1 second. I'm gonna make sure you get that. Because I promised that to you, and thank you for reminding me of that. Come on. All right. What else? How come I can't put a file in here? I've put files in here so many times. There we go. You can't drag in there anymore, huh? What's that about? Okay. I'm going to see if I can do it this way.
I can email
Apologize.
it to you, Lon.
What's that?
I can email it to Lon.
Yes, I can certainly email it to you, Lon, as well, or Crystal, if you, but I
be
wanted
great.
to. I used to be able to just drag files right in here and drop in the chat, and I don't know why it's not letting me do that. That's the frustrating. I will email it to you all for sure. And
Thank you.
yes, put your emails, your best emails right there in the chat, and we'll email it directly to you. I will do that.
And Teddy, I think what you said, I know that it'll probably make Crystal even more nervous than she was for this, but I think you absolutely need to have them show it at sales meeting, because
There's no
I think
question.
I think every realtor, it's so smart and it's so easy to get kind of pigeonholed in this business and forget how interesting you are, forget that you have other things that people want to see from you besides your real estate business. And it, you know, Crystal's page is evidence that it pays off. So I mean, I think kind of a difficulty I'm in the middle of trying to get over is adding more of myself to my page, which Crystal does so well. And just you know, putting ego aside and remembering that you know, your life is worth sharing and your interests people want to know. So and if they don't, they'll keep scrolling. So I think you should definitely show it in sales meeting. I think it should be part of the mentorship packet for every new agent to fill out. I just think it's awesome.
Great. No question. I'm glad you said that too, as we have a mentor on here also. Yeah, I think it should be part of people's marketing plan and strategy. And I think people aren't being as, just because they haven't been coached or directed that way, as strategic about it. And you know, it's like, that's the key. I mean, I think is just, don't be a on accident realtor, right? Catherine, if you want this emailed to you, if you put your email in the chat there, I think I have your email as well, so I don't know. But if you want that email to you, I have your Village TN email. I'll put that, or I'll use your Gmail. Perfect. Yes, awesome. Well, I think that about does it. I mean, I know there's so much we could cover, but I'm so appreciative for all of you, and especially Crystal and Kathleen, for your willingness to kind of just share how and what you're doing there. Crystal, is there any pages, or Kathleen, that you particularly love that you think that we should follow or share or be checking out? Could you put those in the chat?
Yes.
Would you be willing or open to put a couple of those in the chat so we could grab those down? That would be awesome. And this email will be coming to here shortly.
I want to say thank you, Kathleen, and I really appreciate it, because I do not, I don't like social media, and I'm trying so desperately to get into social media, and both yours and Crystal's pages I follow, and I really appreciate your diagram, Crystal. And I think also this should be in the mentor program, FYI. As a mentor, this has been very helpful to know how to approach real estate in the social media world. So thank you.
Awesome. Cool. All right, well, Crystal, I think you can expect to get some phone calls for some additional, you've done it to yourself now. And I think it's a great reminder of is this stuff works. I mean, Crystal and Kathleen, have you had closings directly from Instagram?
Yes.
Yeah. I know of people that have like tons of them. And it's like, it's almost like you be careful what you do, because the be careful is you're going to get exactly what you're hopefully wanting. You do it as business connection. So this is where it's at. My demographics probably, is certainly on Instagram, but more maybe on Facebook. I'm a little bit older. But even if you just pick one, just do that and try to do that regularly and consistently. And that's something that I'm having to turn my ship with as well, too. So it is, it's not been for some that there's resistance and challenge around it. In your chat, the three dots there, if you click the three dots in the lower right near where you type, you can hit save chat. So you can grab everything right there. You don't have to do it one at a time. Music shitty is funny. Agreed. I like music shitty. It's brilliant. Mhm. Yeah.
It's great for engagement.
Of sharing stuff on there.
Because
Yeah.
it's so relatable to people in
is.
Nashville. Whenever I share stuff from Music Shitty, I always get like a bunch of private messages. So
Do you?
yeah. Engagement.
And do you just hit a direct share? You just do like a forward, like a share?
Yeah, especially on days that I really do not want to create content. I just share a bunch of other people's content.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you all. Have a beautiful week. And again, thank you so much, Crystal and Kathleen and everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Alright.
This was great.
Yeah, fantastic.
Thank
See ya.
you.
Bye, you guys.
Bye.